Chris, thank you very much for joining us.
Very welcome. Good to see you again.
You were the first guest we had on the podcast, I believe.
Yeah, you've sort of upped your game a little bit. We've got microphones. It's not a really dodgy connection on Zoom.
Zoom is... Actually, I won't say anything bad about Zoom because they might not like it. Yes, good to have you actually in the studio in person doing it. I think that's before you released your album.
Yeah, so I released the album that I thought no one would care about, and apart from maybe my mum and a few muso mates and stuff, but it's actually gone really, really well. It's sort of exceeded all expectations.
Tell us a bit about what it's been like releasing the album. How have people reacted to it?
I think there's been some really cool stuff, really unexpected stuff. I think the thing that always surprises me when you get, I don't want to use the word normal, you get a normal person who listens to normal people music that isn't necessarily a musician or...
It's just Ed Sheeran and Dua Lipa and stuff like that.
All that sort of stuff, yeah. And they're telling me that they've set it to their alarm in the morning, one of my songs to their alarm in the morning, or they listen to it every day in the car and things like that, which really surprised me. And
that'd be a nice way to wake up to one of your songs.
And the craziest thing is my friend's sister, she had she was giving birth and she had to pick some music and she picked my CD.
Oh, amazing.
So her baby came into the world to Tempest.
To Chris Burness.
Yeah. Poor thing is going to be traumatised for life. But I've just had my Spotify Wrapped results through, actually.
Go on, give us a few statistics.
So I won't go into that, but bearing in mind that Spotify took down my first single, which was doing so well, it was getting like 400 to 500 streams a day.
Okay.
But then it lost all that momentum because they took it off and I had to start from scratch. I've got 2.9 thousand listeners, 18.7 thousand streams. And the thing that really surprised me was the fact that most of the listeners are not from this country. So I thought, it's just because I'm in a bar and I know everyone and everyone around here is listening because they kind of have to. But the UK was number 2. So there's more listeners in the USA than there is in this country, which is mad.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's surpassed all expectations.
How did you get 400 streams a day? Were you boosted by the algorithms or something? And
I think it's because, I got... I made a reel and with a clip of the track and then when I released my first song, I think I got lucky and picked the right song off the album. It's one of the favourites that people really, really like. Yeah. And because it's the first thing I've ever done, I think publicly, I think people paid attention to it. So whether it was good or not.
But 400 streams a day, that is not just your friends and family.
No, that's true. And that clip of the reel got about 23,000 views which is, and organically, and if you paid for that on Facebook, it would cost you stupid money.
Yeah.
So I think, honestly, why did it do so well? It's because it's the first thing I did. Everyone paid attention, whether it was good or not. And I had hundreds and hundreds of people share it. And then when it got taken off of Spotify and I had to start again, I just lost that momentum. All the people that had added it to playlists and saved it and downloaded it and shared it. Yeah. That was all around.
Why did it get taken off? Can we dive into that?
Yeah. So basically... there are, if you want to artificially boost your numbers, you can pay for services where there's a load of bots, so fake accounts that will listen to your song over and over again, and it will boost your numbers artificially massively. But they're really, really clear when you use a distributor to put it out there that's it's a no-go area, and if you get caught, which you will, then they'll take it down. Yeah. So I would never do it, and also if no one listens, no one listens. I just want like an honest representation of what's going on. But unfortunately, someone added my song to a playlist full of bots and it was nothing to do with me. Yeah. I then used a specific tool that Spotify have to report exactly that kind of thing. So I reported it. They took away all the bogus streams, which I was really happy about because that's what I wanted. Yeah. And it went back down to a reasonable number. And then they just took it off the platform completely. And when I contacted them, they basically said there is no customer service, there's no appeal process.
A lot of these big platforms have none of that at all. Like if you are a smaller artist that gets into a bit of difficulties with stuff like that, you are not getting through to them.
And what's crazy is you could just sabotage a local artist by thinking, I don't like that guy, I'm going to stick him on one of these horrible playlists and get this song taken down. It's never going to happen with Ed Sheeran, is it? But,
how did you get it back on there eventually?
I just had to start from scratch. And to be honest, it took so much wind out of my sails because, as I said, I didn't think anyone would care about it. I didn't think anyone would like it. I got this surprise that it got such a wave of support and people really liked it. And then I lost all my progress overnight and it just really deflated me. And I almost didn't release my album because of it because I just thought I couldn't see the point of it.
Yeah, it must have been very disheartening.
Yeah. And these platforms are, in a way, you'd think, oh, this is a great age to be in, where as an independent artist you can just get music out there all across the world. But the reality is that all the algorithms are weighted towards the big players. And occasionally when you break through, when you have hundreds and hundreds of people that I've been fortunate enough to share my music, it doesn't necessarily mean it still won't get squashed. So, so that was a negative point. But yeah,
very, very disheartening. Put all that work into the album, then they just, against your will, take it down.
But what they can't, I mean, I haven't got a final count, but at the moment, I've got 160 physical albums out there. So that's
CDs, and incredible.
Yeah. I've always got some in my car.
It's amazing how much demand there is for CDs still with local artists. People always seem to be wanting to buy them, even though we've got Spotify and Apple and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way I look at it, so say if you release a CD, I will buy your CD. I don't have a CD player.
Yeah.
And then I'll listen to you on Spotify because I think you get the best of both worlds. Because if your CD is a tenner, a lifetime of listening, you will not see that kind of money from streaming. But it also gives you a bit of money directly to you, and then it boosts your stats. So.
Well, we had a guest on who was getting to like 20,000 streams a month, and the money he got from Spotify was still like negligible. It was unbelievably little. How are you doing with the money side from that amount of streams? I always think it's interesting to talk about this kind of music.
Well, I know it's something like 0.0004p per stream or something mad. I haven't had any yet, but I don't expect it to cover the £30 or £40 I spend a year to the distributor to get it out there. It won't break even on that, let alone anything else. But and then the other thing I'd love to do would be to get it on vinyl, because people ask me all the time, but I don't know if you've ever looked into that, but it is horribly expensive. You either have to buy a huge number, or you get these on-demand services. But ultimately, where say if you order one and you're the only person, it will go directly to you and they'll just press one. But you would have to pay probably 3 times what you'd want to for a unit price than would be realistic. So if anyone has got a way around that, I'd love to know.
Let us know. How's your other merch doing? Because I remember at your album launch event, you had just like an insane amount of merch. It was incredible, with t-shirts, beer mats, CDs, bracelets, everything.
I'm really glad I did that, actually, because that gave me a decent amount of money towards, I'm not even going to say I've covered the cost of the project, because that's never going to happen. And I was really surprised at the appetite for it as well. But the person who was doing it for me had been unwell. So I'm looking at getting that resurrected, because people still ask me, they want, I always feel a bit, I don't know what the word is, egotistical, wearing my own name on me. I just feel like a bit.
Well, it's tricky as an artist, isn't it? Because I feel like a lot of artists aren't very self-promotional. But you got to, and I'm terrible at that too. But you gotta wear your own t-shirt to your gig. You gotta, because you spent probably thousands recording this album. Yeah,
and even on a budget, it really adds up. I mean, we've both worked with the same producer. He's brilliant. And when I was initially with him, he was doing it very heavily discounted, and he's still very reasonable for what he does. I wouldn't for a moment say he's overcharging. If anything, he's undercharging, but it adds up.
And then you do a version of the song that you don't like, and you have to go back and spend another day in the studio. It's very rarely just one day of recording.
No. I think even the season pros, they're in there for a considerable amount of time. So,
well, you're going back to record one of your songs again, aren't you, from the album?
Yeah.
What's the process behind that, and why do it?
So basically, the whole album, I did a bonus track called "And Breathe," and it was a bit of a nod to Pink Floyd. And so every single track on that album can be played. It's arranged for one guitar, so everything can be done by one person, with the exception of this last one. And everything on there has taken me up to 20 years to put together. This was kind of like an antidote to that, and it's called "And Breathe" because the project was difficult, stressful, and I could just go, I've done that now, but also as a nod to Pink Floyd, because it's in that sort of style. And it was also because instead of me spending ages and ages working out all these complicated arrangements of songs, I just went like, it's a simple 4/4 time signature, simple, not too fast. And it was based 90% on improvisation. And threw it together really, really quickly in a couple of 2 or 3 hour sessions. And that seems to be one that's resonated with people. People really like that one. So I'm going to work with local musician Cole Knights, who I owe quite a lot to. He's the reason why.
Based in Tunstall, isn't he?
Yeah, Tunstall/Snape. And then the old guitarist from Midnight Road, the band I was in for 10 years, superb guitarist. He's going to do some Pink Floyd style kind of lead work for me. We're going to have real drums, not MIDI drums, and I'm trying to think of a polite way of saying it. I don't know how much I'm allowed to swear, but it's going to get kicked.
You can swear.
It's going to be kicked up the posterior. It's going to be kicked up the arse and made just bigger and rockier and fuller. And that would have been really out of place on the album. But that's probably the last instrumental thing I'll do. I've just got...
Ever?
I never say never, but I don't see why I would, because every time I write something instrumental, my head goes straight to how can I turn this into a song?
Yeah.
So I think...
Why do you think you've changed over the years? I think we talked about this on our first podcast, but you started out just instrumental. And now, like you said, you're hardly thinking about it.
No.
Why that switch?
Pretty simply because I never used to be able to sing. I couldn't sing. And I know people think because I'm self-deprecating, they always think, oh, he probably could and it's just been hard himself. But I genuinely could not sing in tune, and it was really bad.
What, technically or just from nerves?
No, just could not.
Really?
Whether I was by myself, I could not hit the notes.
Oh, incredible.
But I could hear that they were out of tune. And all of a sudden, for no reason at all, in my sort of mid-30s, I started being able to sing kind of a bit every now and then. I'd hit the notes, and then I worked really hard.
So you really just couldn't sing in tune?
Not at all. And then when I started to make a tiny bit of progress, I went to Bronwyn from Underline the Sky.
Yeah.
She's awesome. And she very...
Bronwyn taught me for a bit. Yeah.
Did she?
At Planet Music.
Yeah, she worked there, yeah. Well, I went to her house and got private lessons, and she's a really big champion of mine. She's a very, very supportive figure and a big influence as to why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But even she said the first time I was there, she said, leave your guitar at home because your voice isn't strong enough.
Really?
And that changed quite quickly. But yeah, I just had to put in a huge amount of effort into learning to sing.
So you do think that everyone can sing? Because you get a lot of people saying you can just people just sing in tune from the day they were born.
Yeah.
Which is funny because you're a musician as well. You'd think you'd be able to just sing in tune, but you've had to really work at it.
And I play most things by ear as well.
Yeah.
So you would think
you'd just be able to hit every note straight away. That's really interesting.
Well, I guess, can anyone learn to sing? I reckon, I think probably the majority of people with enough work and the right guidance can learn to sing in tune. But ultimately, your instrument is what it is. And if there's not a pleasant tone to your voice, then you can't change that. You know, you can learn to pitch better and work on phrasing and things like that, and projection and range. But I don't think you can. You've got to work with what you've got, and you're stuck with the tone you've got, I suppose. Do
you remember the first time that you sang live? What were you thinking? How were you feeling?
I'm thinking, if this had a bigger audience, I could probably get sponsored by Imodium, because that's got me through a lot of gigs. Honestly, it felt like I had an intestinal wedgie. It was just horrendous. I'd be nervous for weeks before, and it was really frustrating because it was never in my head. It was just in my body, and I still get it now, but it's much more controlled now. But I mean, you saw what I was like in the early days. I used to have to drink about 10 pints to do it.
You would have to put you at the very end when everyone gone home and you had about a few pints.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're like, can you go on early? No, just got here. I'm sober.
You need to be inebriated. Yeah.
And actually, weirdly, you were at my first ever gig as well. I didn't invite anyone. I don't really want anyone to see me there. But you turned up, and it was. I'd blown my voice out for 3 weeks before, and I still didn't know what I could actually sing. I still didn't know what my range was or anything, and. So I worked out 90% of material the night before, which was quite stressful. And it was for a charity gig, so I couldn't exactly go, can I give this one a miss?
Oh, at the Swan and Hedgehog?
Yeah.
That was first?
Yeah, first ever gig was there, yeah.
Well, the nerves didn't show outwardly, even if you were feeling it.
Yeah, I did get given a rather large, ridiculous cocktail by the bar staff, so yeah.
Always
probably
helps.
Borderline illegal. But.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about performing now? Do you still get nervous? Or do you just go on stage and you just do it naturally? And how have things progressed?
So looking back at the band, when I was in the band, I used to be exactly the same. And now, even I'm not in it, if they asked me to play in front of 1,000 people next week and depth for them, it wouldn't faze me at all.
Yeah.
Which I could never have imagined being the case. And people always say nerves you can get on top of them, but they never go away. But weirdly, they did go away for me. So I went from one extreme to the other. But in terms of solo, I mean, I don't think I've ever gone into a gig. I think I'm approaching my 50th solo gig now, and I have not gone into a single one thinking I can do this.
Really?
No, not once. And it's always my voice. It's always that. I always think.
Why is that? Because you're an insanely competent guitarist. You're always in tune now. Why do you still feel like that?
It's really hard when you've had spent most of your life not being able to sing in tune. It's again, I'm trying to think of a word I can use. It's a head fornicator. when you're like, I don't understand. I'm still surprised when someone said it to me at my last gig. They're like, "Oh, you got a really, really nice voice." And I'm like, I can't connect with that.
I never believe it when people say that. It's just small talk. They're just saying it to fill the gaps.
I guess people are going to be polite, aren't they? Not everyone is. When I played in Liverpool, this guy, the standard up there was ridiculous. And everyone was very, very kind and seemed to really like what I was doing, apart from one guy who came up to me and he went, "Oh, I love your guitar playing." I was like, "Oh, thanks." And then he said, "Shame about your voice, though." And I thought he was joking. And then he said it about another 3 times. I was like, "Oh, my God." I'd never do that to someone. But yeah, I think normally people would be polite and say things even if they don't mean it. But I think in my head, I'm a guitarist, and most singers who play guitar, they use it to accompany their voice. It's like a delivery mechanism.
Yeah.
And that's maybe why they'll just bash chords and not put quite so much thought into the backing. Whereas my head, when I look at a song, always starts with the guitar. And first of all, can I sing it? Okay. And then my focus primarily is on how do I arrange it? What do I do? And, and I still consider myself to be a guitarist, not.
So that's where the mental gap is with the confidence, I suppose.
Yeah. And then when I do.
Without getting too deep and analytical about it.
Yeah. And, I doubt it will change. But
oh, really?
At least it will.
Well, it shows you care, doesn't it? I feel like if you accept that the nerves won't go away, that is almost helping you become less nervous. They're just normal. You're just used to them.
I guess so, yeah. And also I don't have an ego, and I'd like to think that will never change. And I think that's something that keeps you grounded as well.
Yeah.
A little bit of self-deprecation and.
Well, exactly. Like it's normal to worry what people are going to think. If you don't, it's a bit concerning.
But it's surprising to hear you talk about yourself in that way, though, because I remember you playing when you must have been 17, coming to the tavern.
Yeah.
And then you did your first gig there with Angelo.
Yeah, amazing.
And you've always been insanely consistent. You've gotten stronger, but. Angelo, you've gone up a notch. Angelo's gone up 20 notches.
Yeah.
I could hear a lot of potential in his voice, and now he's brilliant. And I rate you both very highly, but it surprises me because you just seem consistent and it seems effortless when you play and sing. So.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it, I feel like I do have a routine before. I'm just like, you just got to fake it till I'm not feeling confident, but I try and think what a confident me would look like on stage.
Right.
Sometimes. Well, recently, I don't know if I was doing it back then, but I did a gig at Woodbridge the other day, and I kind of went through like. I don't care what you think. I go every single person in the audience just to sort of make myself enjoy the gig more.
Yeah.
And just processes like that have always helped me.
Some people, they imagine the audience naked. That's the cliche.
Well, yeah,
Well, all I thought about is what would you do if, I know Rich got an email through asking him, and the Lockabillies, I think it was, to play some nudist event. So I was thinking, what would you do then if that was your technique?
Yeah.
Do you imagine them with clothes on? I'm not sure.
No, that is a unique situation. That hasn't been.
They said clothes were optional for their players as well.
Did he accept?
They didn't know. I wish they had. I was so curious about what would happen.
No, that would have been a podcast story, wouldn't it? You've had your fair share of unusual gig experiences, haven't you? With dogs peeing on your.
Who has it? Yeah, that was the one we had together, wasn't it? Yeah, dog peeing on. It was embarrassing enough. I got there, and we've got a really tall. We've both got a similar system, a Bose system, which is a tall line array thing. Which I thought, because I'd seen you use them down there, and Adam Thomas, that it would fit. But it was about that much short of the ceiling, and I was desperately trying to find a place in the pub to locate it. And it was just.
I'd driven home as well.
Yeah, so you drove home to get yours just in case. And then I had to move.
Late start.
And then this is awful. I had to move a table of diners who I didn't know to try and fit it in the corner. And then it was right in the middle of the sort of corridory bits. Every time someone walked past, I was doing that. And then when I was setting up, their dog went over, lifted its leg and peed on my bloody guitar. I've had some really.
That adds to the nerves, doesn't it?
And then a couple of weeks later, I went to an open mic night, and this dog was obsessed with my guitar case. And the woman was like, "Oh, she's really
What have you got
interested
in
in that."
that
I'm
guitar
thinking,
case? I think
yeah, it's probably. I think he can smell another dog's pee, to be honest. But oh god,
there's a theme going on here.
I had a crazy one at. I can't even tell you most of what happened that day because I'll incriminate someone. But I had a crazy one at the Blacksall Ship before I'd really sort of when I was still really nervous, and I was doing another event for someone with my gear in a different location, and I got someone to pick me up because I needed a drink in those days to play, and they were late. So I got there, and the PA system they had was they'd found in a shed, and it was rusty and had been partly eaten by rats. So it was ridiculous, and it was the worst sounding thing I've ever heard. And luckily, someone was there who managed to get the best out of it for me. But they suddenly threw me in the deep end and said, "You need to go in right now." And my first song, a lady, I don't know who she was, she seemed to know me, but she, super, super, super nervous. First song is a cover. And before I get to the chorus, she walked right up to me and she said, "I heard your original's amazing. Can you play one of those?" And starts trying to talk to me when I'm singing. And I was like, yeah, I will later. And then she said, "No, have more confidence in yourself. Stop what you're doing. Stop your song and do one of your songs." I was like, what? Who would do that? So it was just like that completely messed with my head. And she got pulled away by people. Then a couple of songs later, one of my friends heckled me, and it was such a good heckle. And it just, the whole room went to bits. I played, you've heard me do In My Life, Beatles.
Yeah.
I announced I was doing that. He groaned because he didn't like it. And just as I was playing like at the perfect time, playing a little instrumental bit, he shouted "Alexa, next," and the whole room just fell to bits.
Very harsh.
And then when I finally got my head together and I was getting in the swing of it, the lady came back. And she was on crutches, but she didn't have crutches anymore.
Yeah.
And she started to dance for about 5 seconds, fell on me. She knocked over everything on the stage, all the mic stands, speakers, everything, pinned me on the floor. So 2 of my friends had to pick her up off of me. But it's just like, I don't know, this is just...
That is mental.
Just have so many weird gigs.
I've nothing to compete with that.
Off camera, I'll tell you some crazier ones.
The worst I've had is just someone leaning on my Bose PA, thinking it was just like a...
God.
But that's nothing compared to that. Thinking it was like some sort of thing they can lean on while they have a drink, and the whole thing bends back. £1,000 of gear down the drain.
Oh, Christ.
But I know people have had terrible stories, haven't they? Like with beer being... I know Adam Thomas has beer spilt on his PA, hasn't he?
Oh, worse than that. His Faith guitar, I made a joke about him having a second sound hole, but it's a bit too soon. But he was at a house party. He went off to have a break. He came back. His guitar was upside down and it had been on the stand and it had a big hole in it. Like a Faith guitar must be $1,000.
How?
He didn't ever find out who did it.
Well, someone punched a hole.
I don't know what they did to it, but there was a hole in the side of his guitar, in the front of his guitar.
Like a neat hole or a...
I'm not entirely sure, but I can't remember if he put a sticker over it or something, but I'll have to ask him. But yeah, it's mad.
It's like the last place you think would happen as well, at a gig that someone's booked you to be at.
Yeah, in your house. It's not like you can walk...
Yeah. Who have you invited that would want to do that? It's crazy. Well, you got more experiences than me.
I don't know. I've had so many things. I had a run on my instrumental tour where almost every gig, something beyond belief happened.
Yeah. Well, tell us about that tour. Where did you play, and how many shows did you do?
Not as many as I wanted, and the reason is because I was just quite swamped at work. And as you know, it's really hard work promoting, pushing, and getting gigs. And I've been really lucky because the only reason I've done nearly 50 solo gigs is because it was by accident. I did that charity gig you were at on the back of doing my open mic night because I had to sing because I'm hosting it. Got booked for 2 charity gigs, then got booked for some more and more. And before you knew it, I had more offers this year than I could do with my job, which is a nice position to be in. So I've gone from one extreme to the other, which is there are too many people who are asking me to play, to doing the instrumental stuff is so much more niche. I could play in most of the places around here, but you don't want to do a tour where I'm 3 miles apart every week. You want to spread out a bit. So trying to you contact venues and they just don't respond. And when they do and say you're not for us, actually that's really, really helpful when you just know not to waste any energy.
Yeah.
Furthest afield.
Most of them don't even respond. So that is nice when you get... I find when emailing people, I just don't care if it's a no, but please just respond.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And it's tricky, and I'm kind of in a weird position where I book people because I have a venue, but then I'm also an artist as well. So and I know that people, they do just spam pages. They'll send, copy and paste a message, and they'll send it to every single kind of thing they can find on social media, hoping something lands.
That's really interesting. Just before we talk about more about your tour, give some advice to a young musician who, because you book people and people obviously contact you. How would you be different? How would you say, oh yeah, I'm going to book that person just from an email compared to that person?
I'll be honest, I'm probably a bad person to give advice on this, because I think maybe I take a different approach. I personally, the venues that I didn't know, if you walk in face to face, I think, and introduce yourself, I think it's you literally put your foot in the door, and you put a face and name in. It's not just some anonymous email. I think honestly, just going into venues and just speaking to people has much more effect than sending out endless emails.
Yeah.
And that generally works for me. But I always take the approach of, well, I'll go play somewhere at an open mic night and I'll do 3 songs and show a bit of what I can do. And quite often I get asked to play on the back of that. And if I don't, I'll approach them and leave a card and so on. But that's the way I do it. But I don't think that's the right way.
That's good advice. There's still a lot to be said for actually going and speaking to someone, isn't there?
Yeah. And the weird thing is, do you remember when I used to send you clips of my the stuff I was working on in the studio with Rich for my album, and I'd always be really, really self-conscious, and I'd worry about it. And anytime I sent someone, I would always feel like awful about it. And if there's no response, I would worry about it for days.
Yeah.
Well, you fast forward to where I'm at now, where I went into Bistro on the Quay and randomly asked if I could have a gig, which is where I did one of my tour dates. And the guy said, "Are you on Spotify?" I said, "Yep." And he then pulls up my song and plays it when I'm standing there, and I felt so awkward. I'm like, I would never have done that a year ago.
No.
But it worked, thankfully.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Actually go into a venue and just speak to them, because you're more likely to get a yes or no, aren't you? There and then, instead of just wondering if the email's gone through.
And I think you just, and I think we're both maybe a little bit more in people's consciousness locally, because not only do we host events, we also support events as well.
Yeah.
And I think just getting your face out there, speaking to people, introducing yourself, even if it doesn't land, you're just networking, and quite often yields results.
Definitely. Anyway, tell us a bit more about your tour. Tell us, where did you actually play? Any interesting stories from those gigs?
None that I can repeat without without causing problems. I had a horrible amount of things go wrong, and I've learned a lot from it. One really funny one was I played in Coda in Colchester. So the furthest I managed to get, I was hoping to go further, but just time restraints and so on. Played Coda in Colchester, quite a few places in Suffolk, and then Ban and Barrel, which you've played at before, in Norfolk. But the Coda one, I've got a song called Sophie's Sorrow, which I gave this big speech about. It's a really sad story behind why I wrote it. And I said it had a kind of like a Schindler's List type feel to it. The problem was I play to a click, so I can play in time to the backing track. And I kept getting lost on it because there's not enough distinct parts in my ear.
Yeah.
So Rich put in a really over-the-top cowbell, but it had accidentally been panned to the wrong way, which meant it came out the front of house speakers. So I've said there's this really sad Schindler's List type song with a really sad backstory, and then all we can hear is this ridiculous cowbell going. And the reason I didn't react is because coincidentally someone had talked about playing cowbell on the previous set, and so I thought, has that guy got a cowbell out? But no. Yes, that was really embarrassing. And then I had a load of drunk girls come in, bearing in mind it's instrumental stuff, asking me to play some bangers and play something upbeat.
Yeah.
And then she said, can't you sing? We liked him when he was singing earlier. I was like, and the guy said, he's not sung anything. And in fact, the person he played before was playing didgeridoo percussively as well. So I'm not entirely sure who she thought it was, unless it was Billy Joel on the track in between.
It's always an awkward moment when the drunk people walk in wanting Oasis and songs like that, and you're there playing like Bob Dylan or something, or like instrumentals.
Yeah. I even warned them when they came in. I said, look, this is not going to be for you guys. This is just background music, but they had to be pulled away from the stage about 3 times. It's really off-putting as well.
Yeah.
And you already got like imposter syndrome, thinking I shouldn't be here, and then you've got 3 drunk girls telling you shouldn't be here.
Doesn't help.
No. But yeah, tour-wise, it didn't really. I didn't do what I wanted to do, but I did shift some more CDs.
What did you want to do? Get further afield?
Yeah, and I still do, and I think I might just reach out to some some friends and say, look, if you're going to play up north or something, I'll take the missus. We'll stay up there, make a day trip,
open up,
do
yeah.
mini break and support someone and just try and get a bit further afield. Really.
Well, I'm definitely down for organising something. We were talking about something.
Yeah, that would be great.
At some point, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But you are going away on a trip, aren't you? Where you're going to take your guitar, see what happens.
Yeah.
Without a plan.
Yes.
What's the motivation behind doing that?
So I run a small pub and it's closing for 3 weeks for renovation next month in January. And great time of a year to go away, I'm sure. But the idea is I find it quite hard to get time off. And I've got no commitments at the moment. So I thought it might be quite nice to get the Eurostar over to France. You don't have to carry all your equipment on the plane, bring my guitar, and we're going to hire a camper van. And I think it works out about £40 a day.
All right.
And we're just going to, but then also you save so much money because you can cook everything in there. You can make all your coffees and stuff. And then we're just going to head to the west of France, to Portugal. And I don't know where I'll end up. Just see where the wind takes us. I might not even go that way. I'll just drive across Europe.
Are you going to bus, get some gigs?
I was thinking about it, yeah. And I was saying to you earlier before we started this that I think something I hadn't realised. A lot of people who are musicians think, wouldn't it be great to do this for a living? Because it's so much fun and they love music. But I think the reality is the more you do it, the more it stops. You stop doing it for the reasons you were doing it, which is for enjoyment, creativity. Most of my time when I'm listening to music isn't for pleasure. It's a chore. I'm learning something.
Yeah.
I'm studying something. The same with I came up with a really cool riff a few weeks ago, and all I was thinking is I can't work on this right now because I've got to practice for a gig tonight or tomorrow or whatever, and it's so it'd be nice to just disappear off for 3 weeks, have my guitar, I've got no gigs intentionally booked next year, and just see what happens, play for fun.
Yeah.
See if I write anything, maybe busk, maybe not.
Fall in love with it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, knowing what you do, would you still want to be a full-time musician, knowing that it becomes a bit of a chore? Like, would you still want to do that?
I don't know if I'll ever. I don't think so. No.
Okay,
no.
interesting.
And it's things I worry about. The reliability of, say, your voice. If I get a cold, it always turns into a chest infection, and I'm out of it for can be a couple of months. And it just worries me that I've done gigs before where I've been so ill I don't even remember 90% of what happened, but I was only a guitarist and you can kind of push through. You can't do that when you're fronting
very reliant
something.
on your voice.
Yeah. So I think I'll just, for that reason alone, but then also I think I'd be in danger of it eroding my love for it and my enthusiasm, And I also everyone thinks I'm a good guitarist. I'm not. I think I just, maybe not, there's not many people who fingerpick. If everyone fingerpicks, I'd probably be quite average. But I have to put a lot more work into it than people realise just to maintain.
Yeah.
So I think it'd just be too much.
Okay. Well, talking about being a good guitarist and all that, do you want to play us a song? Either something you're working on now, an instrumental song, an old cover, no, not an old cover, an old original, anything you like.
I can do if you want. Yeah, I'm a bit rusty. I haven't touched this in a little while.
But what song are you going to play us, Chris?
So I'm going to play just a little clip of Tempest. My best impersonation of something when I've been quite rusty, but I'll have a go. Okay. Fingers are too cold to play that.
That was great. That was phenomenal.
So that's Tempest.
It's out everywhere.
It is out everywhere. Yes. So
get the CD.
Yes, thank you very much. That's what you need. Someone else to plug your stuff because you're so bad at it.
Anyway, just to wrap up, tell us what you're doing next. You're writing new songs. You're still hosting your open mic night, which is one of the biggest ones around, isn't it?
I'm really lucky. It's probably one of the busiest ones in the East Anglia, I think.
Do you think? Amazing.
Yeah, I've been speaking to other hosts in Essex and Norfolk, and it's probably consistently one of the busiest ones. So, I'm really lucky, and it's people like yourselves, an army of people that have helped me get it there, which is great. So that's definitely still going strong, which I'm really pleased about.
When's the next one?
It's normally the last Tuesday of every month, but because of Christmas, it's going to be a Sunday the 28th. It'd be great if you can make it.
Sunday the 28th. Okay, cool.
And then I've started writing a lot more of my comedy music at the moment. Because it seems to be going down really well, and I've got a concept for a comedy EP, but I need to I don't think that's the first thing I should do singing. I think I need to do something more serious first.
Well, you've got a whole collection of serious singer-songwriter songs, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I think I've got something like 33 songs that are either finished or very close, and then so I'm not sure. My next project will either be, other than re-releasing and Breathe, it's either going to be doing a kind of covers EP where I do songs with a twist on. So, I'd like to get songs and reimagine them and do different things with them, mess about them. Or it will be a singer-songwriter full album. But I don't know whether I just want to kind of sit on that and see. I feel like I've got better stuff in me at the moment.
Yeah.
I'd rather just explore that a bit more. But yeah, so maybe the easiest thing is going to be the cover EP first and then move on to the originals.
Awesome. Where can people find you on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube?
chrisburnessmusic.com, Chris Burness Music for all your socials, pretty much everything. I'm under that.
That's nice and easy.
Yeah, and there's not any other Chris Burnesses apart from some famous Scottish guy. But
there's a Tom Mumford in Ipswich, and he's my biggest competitor because he beats me on Google every time. Yeah. It always comes up first, and then it's me.
Do you want me to start a smear campaign?
I think so. Start that. That'd be a good idea. Chris, it's been great to talk to you.
You too, mate. Thank you very much for having me back. Cheers.
No, it's awesome to have you back. Before you go, you're our biggest fan, I think, of the podcast.
I am, yes. I was in the top 0.00001.
The number one fan. So
yeah.
It's good to have you on.
Cheers. Thank you very much.